Hey, welcome back to Get Done's Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Today we have a very unique story to share, a tale of lifelong passion, automotive excellence, and the deep connection between a driver and their extraordinary machines. Our guest, Steve Larsen, has a remarkable automotive history marked by a stunning yellow trilogy of vehicles. I don't want to share all the details because I want Steve to do that. But beyond their vibrant color, these cars share a fascinating lineage influenced by Formula One legend Ayrton Senna. And we're going to talk a little bit about his story. Steve's journey extends far beyond his garage, which encompasses a successful career as a serial tech entrepreneur and adventurous travels around the globe. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Shalom. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Again, welcome. Your automotive passion, that is something that I know will stick with our listeners. It seems to have ignited pretty early on, if I understand correctly. Can you tell us a little bit about what first sparked this love for extraordinary automobiles?
Yes, Shalom. I was working in my first real job at Shock Electronics in Rochester, Minnesota, and I had rebuilt a Triumph Spitfire. And when I went to pick up the car on the final morning to get my completely rebuilt car, they were pushing a small yellow Lotus Elan into their showroom that they'd taken in on trade. And I was just gobsmacked. I asked to drive it, and it drove like nothing I'd ever experienced in my life. And I kept that car for 50 years.
Amazing. Amazing. I love it. Well, it's definitely been a part of your journey. And I mentioned in the intro, you've owned 3 iconic yellow performance cars, a Lotus, an Acura, and a McLaren. And if you'd like to share more about those vehicles, I invite you to do so. But beyond their shared color, what was it about those specific vehicles that captivated you and led you to own them?
Well, they had a lot in common besides their color. They were built with this commitment to lightweight that started with the Lotus. It only weighed 1,500 pounds. The chassis on the car, when I rebuilt it, I weighed it 76 pounds. The Acura NSX similarly was less than 3,000 pounds, and they built it pretty much all out of aluminum, another lightweight product. And then, of course, the McLaren did the same thing, but with carbon fiber, adding a lot more power, but keeping weight down. It also weighed just about 3,000 pounds. So lightweight and a commitment to handling, performance, as well as speed was probably what united these 3 cars, as well as the earlier reference, like you made, to Ayrton Senna, who worked with Lotus, Acura, and with McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, these definitely shared some fascinating connections, all 3 of these cars, including that influence of Ayrton Senna and the add lightness philosophy. Can you elaborate on that link a little bit further and what they signify to you as an enthusiast?
Yes, the Colin Chapman said it best when he said, horsepower makes you fast on the straight, whereas lightweight makes you fast everywhere. And that's pretty much the nut of that idea of making things as light as possible. Although I will say McLaren may have gone a little bit overboard. The car has no glove box, no gas cap, because of course those things add weight.
Absolutely. I mean, your experience, I do have to ask, what does the particular passion someone has for a certain type of car, be it a Ferrari, a McLaren, or something else entirely, say about the owner?
Can say quite a bit. I noticed a good deal of difference between people that owned particular brands of cars. Lotus owners are really eclectic lot. Ferrari owners tend to be very specific and a little bit more rigid. Oh my God. And when you talk about Lamborghini owners, lots of entrepreneurs, lots of people with very, very home-built careers oftentimes. Really a really great group of people.
I'm chatting with Steve Larsen. He is the author of a fascinating read, which we'll talk a little bit about in a moment. But your life journey, Steve, has been really incredibly diverse, from experimental heart surgery as a teen to becoming a successful tech entrepreneur. How has your automotive passion served as a constant anchor and source of joy through these varied experiences?
Well, the cars were kind of something that gave you time to take a break from the intensely difficult and time-consuming work of building a company, especially building one from scratch in the early days. It was a quick way, almost like a drug, to get a couple of hours outside of the daily things and be that were bogging you down, and clear your head by getting on a twisty road with a great performing car and a high revving engine. It just was a thing that was sort of like my way to get release.
I love it. We're going to squeeze in a quick break in a moment, and then we're going to chat about Steve Larsen's new book, My Heart Has Been in It from the Start. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Steve, before we cut to break, in your experience, I know you've owned your Lotus for an incredible 50 years. What is it about certain cars like the Lotus that allows them to develop such endearing cult followings that transcends generations?
Boy, that's a terrific question, Shalom. I'm not sure that I know. All I know is that when I get into one of those cars or I see one, there's something that sparked me, something about the way the car looked and performed that made me come to the point where I knew that there was no way I could get this car out of my mind.
Yeah, well, it's been in your life for a long time. We're going to continue our conversation with Steve Larsen in a quick moment. Don't touch that dial. Hey, welcome back to Get Down to Business. I'm chatting with Steve Larsen, who has a fascinating journey. We've been chatting about automobiles for a little while, but his journey extends far beyond his garage and encompasses a successful career as a serial tech entrepreneur and adventurous travels around the globe. Steve, welcome back. As I mentioned, your new book, My Heart Has Been in It from the Start. It touches on your personal journey. Let's talk about that. Why did you decide to capture your story, and how does your love for these exceptional machines that we've been talking about for the past 10 minutes or so weave into the broader narrative of your life?
Well, the book came about because at about 60 years old, I learned that I had another daughter that I didn't know about, that had been born before I met my current wife. She arrived on the scene with two beautiful grandchildren and a very tolerable son-in-law. And as we got to know each other, one of the things we regretted was that she didn't know about my life before, because I didn't know she existed. And so I wanted to tell her, but every time we got together, the time got consumed with, daily things. How are the kids doing in school? Books we're reading and movies we're watching. So I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to write it all down. And as I wrote down this part of my life for her, I started realizing there were other people, there were business people that didn't know about my cars. There were car people that didn't know about my passion for motorcycles. There were people that didn't know I had survived 3 open heart surgeries. So as it evolved, I got to realize I'm just going to share parts of my life with people who may only know one or another part of me.
Well, I'm so glad you captured it. And it is such an inspiring story. Again, I'm chatting with Steve Larsen. The book is My Heart Has Been in It from the Start. And in a moment, we'll make sure our listeners can find the book and get in touch with our guest, Steve Larsen. But Steve, going back to that automotive piece, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. We've seen rapid advancements in technology today with electric vehicles, increasing automation. What are your thoughts on the current evolution of cars, and what new responsibilities or even limitations might this impose on drivers?
I think not within my lifetime, but within the lifetime of my children, I don't think you'll be able to drive and pilot a car on the streets. I think they'll all be self-driving. So this is an end of an era, these kinds of cars. Get an interesting one and drive it, because sometime in the future, you're going to need a special permit on a special day to pilot your own vehicle.
Wow. You've got an amazing perspective on all of this. And I'm grateful that you're sharing it with us. And I'm looking forward to following your journey on the program. Again, you're listening to Get Down to Business. We've been chatting with Steve Larsen. Steve, I want to make sure we end getting folks in touch with you and your books. Where can they find it and how can they get in touch with you?
The book, my heart has been in it from the start. If they can spell my last name correctly, Larsen, you can find it on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and a lot of independent bookstores. I even saw a stack of them on a table in a airline lounge the other day, or an airline store where they sell books. And so it's around. It's easy search. Steve Larsen, my heart has been in it from the start. I also have a website that is stevelarsen.net. Again, Larsen with an E. And the book is on the front page of the website.
Steve, this is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to link in our show notes and make it easy for folks to get in touch with you. Appreciate you inspiring us. And thank you to all of our guests who have joined us on the program today. It's been a great conversation. As always, you can get on my website, syklein.com, or find us on your favorite podcast app. Just search for Get Down to Business. That way you don't miss a single episode. And the best way to do that is subscribe, but also rate, review, and share. And it makes it even easier for folks to find this program. Get on my website, syklein.com. I love to hear from our listeners. There's a contact form, and I respond to every message. To success, let's get down to business. We'll see you next week for another jam-packed show. Have a great week.